The very skills that got you into the C-suite are often the exact things that will make you fail once you're there. Because if you keep trying to be the expert, you don't scale your impact. You become the bottleneck. Welcome back. You're listening to Julien A. on RiskMasters, The Download, where I share bite-sized insight from our latest interview. This highlight comes from a conversation with Jennifer Geary, Co- and Chief Risk Officer and the author of the C-Suite Framework, where we explore what really changes when leaders step into executive roles.
One of the things I see a lot about people going from, let's say, risk director into that first C-suite role, or frankly, operational lead into COO and so on. Usually people get themselves into those positions through being just really excellent at the day-to-day execution of the role, right? They're technically adept, they're hardworking, they're respected, they know how to achieve things. And I think when you feel the privilege of stepping up into that first C-suite role, I think there's a temptation sometimes to sort of just dial up all of those elements. I'll be even more technical. I'll work even harder. I'll be even more productive. And actually, that can be quite counterproductive for somebody stepping into their first C-suite role. I strongly encourage people when they go into their first role, first of all, to prepare themselves, to get very quiet, to calm down, to think about the organization they're either joining or being promoted within and what it's trying to do, and to think about their new relationships that they're going to have to form. Because you will have presumably already had interaction with lots of other departments, but when you're sitting around that C-suite table, every single individual has come up through a different path with a different educational background, with a different set of skills, a different set of priorities, a different definition of success. And your most important role in that first C-suite role, in those first days and weeks and months of the role, is to establish and form relationships with those people who may think very, very differently to you. And you've got to define shared versions of success, shared ways, what's going to work, how are we going to collectively achieve success. It's much more about stepping back a little bit, often going a little more slowly, actually, taking time to build the relationships, taking time to set course. In that first senior role, what you will find is your words and actions carry more weight than ever before. So it's about often making fewer, but more well-judged, more strategic actions, and then letting the organization take those forward.
And I'd love to get your views, actually, on something that goes beyond that. In my experience, an executive team is a team on its own, right? So it has to come and operate as a group beyond the remit of the leaders of this function. What are, in your views, and based on the book you wrote, the characteristic of an effective executive team? Do you have a view on that?
I think you said it. That ability to form a cohesive, high-performing team that is able to work collectively as a group, that's able to for twos and threes around that table to come together and execute well. Ideally, what you don't want is the sort of hub and spoke CEO, and I have seen that model, and it's really draining actually when every executive has to sort of go through the CEO to agree something or to get something done. And if you are a leader of a team where you see that, or where you've inadvertently become that hub, I think you need to try and get yourself out of that a little bit and encourage cross-departmental cooperation and facilitation. So I think, that ability to trust and work together and to have shared objectives, and then also for individuals within that group to come together and do what needs to be done.
The risk at the top is not lack of capability, it is misapplied capability. Leaders who continue to operate as experts limit the very teams they are meant to enable. Because at that level, leadership is no longer about having the answer. It is about creating the conditions for better answers to emerge. You can listen to the full RiskMasters conversation with Jennifer Geary on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or itvtm.com.
I definitely think it's made me more systematic. It has given me great confidence to have a playbook. And, I hope it doesn't sound, arrogant to say it, but, after I wrote my first book, when I went into further roles, I would go back and consult. I would go back and consult chapters of what I've written. And in fact, my co-author of the Chief People Officer book, Anne Kiley, when she took on a huge Chief People Officer role shortly after writing the book for the Irish flagship airline Aer Lingus, and she said to me, Jenny, I go back into, what was it? That was a really good framework I had there. What do I do? So I think it does give you, it reminds you that there is, and it's not obviously uniform and rigid, but there is a framework that you can lean back on. And if something's not working, or if you're having difficulty getting something, to happen the way you want it to, sometimes just going back to that framework can be really helpful.